This is no one from nowhere, and you are, and I am a spirit of God. Today I'd like to talk to you about I Am God, Biblical Proof of Anunnaki Kings of Nibiru. First, a couple jokes. Was King Solomon so wise? He had over 1,000 wives, but don't ever forget, for every wife he saw, he also gained a mother-in-law. And what did King Tut say when he had a nightmare? I want my mummy. Today, we will go over the historical texts, then move to the biblical text so that you may identify from the Bible, so you have more of a pre-flood origin of understanding about the Anunnaki chosen kings. Remember, all kingship descended from the Sumerian trinity, King Anu, Enlil, and Enki, from 5 cities. Enki's first city on earth, Eridu. Second is Bibical, and Larek, Sapur, and Shurapek. Nibiru, or Earth's Nibiru, should be noted as the Mount Olympus, or the home of the Anunnaki Elohim gods, and was a forbidden zone for humans. It was a religious capital to the Sumerians and home to the supreme god, Anunnaki god Enlil, and was an archaic of types democracy or sorts of a federal White House, or called the Ibabar in some instances, where the Anunnaki gods elected kings in these times, especially in times of war. This was called Enlil's Ikur, or the Duranki, or the bond between heaven and earth. And since my biblical prophecy is my opinion, we will be going to war, as stated in Matthew 24:7, because we are in the end of the age, or the age of Pisces, as in Matthew 24, because of what Jesus said, notably in Luke 22:10. We'll be entering into the new age of Aquarius, the end of this year. This video really lets you know that all kingship descends from Nibiru, or heaven, or Earth's Nibiru, or the Anunnaki Elohim gods. In my opinion, in spite of whom you voted for yesterday on 11-3, or 11 times 3 equals 33, the Freemason number and the number of Jesus at his death. In addition to this, 3 plus 3 equals 6. The planet Saturn is the 6th planet worshipped on Saturn Day, the 6th day of the week, and has a 6 hexagonal shape on top of Saturn, equal to 666. Remember, 1 year on Nibiru, or in Nibiru, is equal to 3,600 years. The number 3,600 was written in Sumerian as a large circle. The epithet for the planet Shar, or supreme ruler, also meant a perfect circle, or a completed cycle. It also meant the number 3,600, and to identify to these 3 terms, planet orbit equals 3,600 years. Berosus, the Babylonian priest, astronomer, scholar, spoke of 10 rulers who reigned upon earth before the deluge. Summarizing the writings of Berosus, Alexander Polyster wrote, in the 2nd book was a history of the 10 kings of the Chaldeans. And remember, Abraham was a Chaldean. And the periods of each reign, which consistently collectively of 120 shars, or 432,000 years, reaching to the time of the deluge. So, one Sumerian king's list, known as the text WB144, records the divine reigns in 5 settled places or cities. In the first city, Eridu, there were 2 rulers. The text prefixes both names with the title syllable A, meaning progenitor, or kingship, or king. When kingship was lowered, in quotes, when kingship was lowered from heaven, kingship was first in Eridu. In Eridu, Elulem became king. He ruled 28,800 years. Alligar ruled 36,000 years. Two kings ruled in Eridu for 64,800 years. Kingship then was transferred to another seat of government where the rulers was called En, or lords. So, in quotes, I drop Eridu in kingship was carried to Bad Tiberia. In Bad Tiberia, Enmenlu-Anna ruled 43,200 years. Enmilgal-Anna ruled 28,800 years. The divine Dumuzi shepherd ruled 36,000 years. Three kings ruled in it for 108,000 years in total. So, then, we have the list following the cities Larik and Sapur, and their divine rulers, and last, the city of Shurapek, where a human of divine parentage was king, and his name was Noah, Utnapishtim. The striking fact about the fantastic lengths of these rules is that, without exception, there are multiples of 3,600 years, or equal to one shar, in Nibiru. So here is the list. Adam equals Aloris, 45 shars times 3,600 equals 162,000 years. Seth, or Alulim, ruled for 8 shars times 3,600 years equals 28,800. Enosh equals to Eligar for a total of 10 shars, 36,000 years. Kenan, or Enmenlu-Anna, 12 shars for a total of 43,200 earth years. Mahalalel equals to Enmengalana for 8 shars for a total of 28,800 years. Jared, or Dumuzi, was 10 shars times 3,600 equals 36,000 years. Enoch, or Enmedurranki, ruled for 8 shars, 28,800 years. According to the Sumerian kings list, Enmedurranna was the 7th pre-flood holder of kingship and reigned in Sapur during 6 orbits of Nibiru, and was renamed Enmedurranki, or Enoch. Lamech, or Methuselah, equals Enmedurranna, 6 shars for 21,600 years. Lamech equal to Uba Tutu, 5 shars for 3,600 years equals 18,000 years. And Noah as Utnapishtim, 8 shars equals to 28,800 years. 10 kings, 432,000 years, or 120 shars, or 120 Nibiru years. What kind of underwear does King Tut wear? Fruit of the tomb. So now we have biblical proof that we will go into, and it's in chapter 5. The descendants of Adam, or from Enki and Eridu. This is the written account of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, he made them to be like himself. He created the male and female, and he blessed them and called them human. This is Enki, and that's who you're looking at. When Adam was 130 years old, he became the father of a son who was just like him. In his very image, he named him his son Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. After the birth of Enosh, Seth lived another 807 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. Seth and Enosh were from a redo for a total of 64,800 years, plus Adam equals to 162,000 years. So carrying on forward, when Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Kenan. After the birth of Kenan, Enosh lived another 815 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enosh lived a total of 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, he became the father of Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived another 840 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. After the birth of Jared, Mahalalel lived another 830 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Mahalalel lived 895 years, and then he died. So Kenan, Mahalalel, with Dumuzi, the shepherd king, ruled in Samaria for a total of 108,000 years. This was also called Bad Tiberia. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. After the birth of Enoch, Jared lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Jared lived 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. After the birth of Methuselah, Enoch lived in close fellowship with God another 300 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enoch lived 365 years, walking in close fellowship with God. Then one day, he disappeared because God took him. Enoch ruled in Larik for a total of 28,800 years. Then Anu, with the help of Shemesh, took him. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. In the birth of Lamech, Methuselah lived another 782 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Methuselah lived 969 years, and then he died. So, Methuselah ruled as king in Shemesh's city of Sapur for a total of 21,000 years. When Lamech was 182 years old, he became the father of a son. Lamech named his son Noah, for he said, "May he bring us relief from our work and the painful labor of tilling the ground that the Lord God had cursed." After the birth of Noah, Lamech lived another 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Lamech lived 770 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So, we have Lamech, who was king of Shurapek for a total of 18,600 years. Then the last pre-flood king was the most famous of Anunnaki kings, who Enlil granted immortality to, Noah, or Utnapishtim, Zuasudra, or Atrahasis, that also ruled in Shurapek for 28,800 years. This was a total of 432,000 Earth years, or divided this by 3,600 years on Earth, you get 120 SARs, equal to Nibiru Anunnaki years. What's a kid's favorite Christmas king? A stock king. Only because you are and I am a spirit of God. Thank you so much. Peace and love to you.